Thank you for being here as we take a little break and have a chance to visit with you and talk a little bit about 2012, the upcoming season, all the things that are going on here with our program. And certainly it never ever slows down, and that's a good thing. And I think with every passing year we continue to get closer and closer to the things that we want to accomplish, the type of program that we want to be. And certainly we've gotten off to a great start so far this year in camp. The focus of camp has been really to become a much more physical football team. I think we've acquired a lot of talent throughout the last couple of years. We're fast, we're athletic. We've gained a lot of length at all three levels. Our defensive ends went from an average of 6 foot and 240 to now being anywhere 6'4" and a half and 6'5" in the 265, 270 pound range. And you can keep going on and on about the other side of the ball, the offensive line that has done the same in terms of that, in terms of our weight room numbers, length and range at linebacker and whatnot. So we have become a much more athletic team. We're getting better and better, but we want to become a much more physical team and want to be known for becoming a physical team and make it our identity. So that has been the focus since January 4th when we started our off-season program. It has continued throughout the entire spring. Obviously, we can't touch our players in the off-season, but judging by what they look like day one, it's hard to believe they wouldn't have been that sharp, and not perfect, but that sharp day one, unless they had invested legitimate time, not just punch the clock and lifted their weights and run their routes or whatnot, but invested legitimate time. So we're excited to know we have a good chunk of starters back, 18 and 19, depending how you consider a couple of guys that were split starters last year. The defense does return 21 of 22 of the two deep, and we did sign 15 defensive players. Right now, we gauge that anywhere between 23 to 26 freshmen or redshirt freshmen. When I say redshirt, probably 6. Okay, but 23 and 26 freshmen will play significant roles for us this year, either on the two deep or on special teams with a primary role. Also important to note that we return our long snapper, Mitch McCluggage. He is fully recovered from an ACL offseason surgery. Shea Smith, as you guys have seen, has become a hell of a snapper and actually the starter on our field goal and extra point snapping on our units, I should say. And offensively, what we've seen is, with Tim Cramsey coming aboard, and I know we haven't had any open practices, and, obviously we've got to continue to do what's best for our program, but certainly has made us very multiple, very aggressive. His philosophy has been to just attack each and every day. It's right in line with what we do in the weight room. It's right in line with what we do in recruiting and what we do with academics. So it's a perfect fit. He's got our guys really, really juiced up, energized, and ready to go. Special teams, situational football, all has been just thrown at these guys from day one. It really, again, it's a little different to be out in civilization. It's been a while. Don't know what any other human beings look like, but I can tell you this: just every year our camp, our program continues to push itself, and we certainly have raised our own levels of expectations, and we expect to get there. But certainly the floor is open to any and all questions. I'm sure there's a bunch to cover, but go right ahead, guys. Shoot. Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of pretty simple. I mean, if you get in this business, you certainly don't get into it to, I want to come in and be a lower tier team for a long, long time. You want to make sure, and I'm a little bit spoiled as a player. I was able to play on some pretty darn good football teams, and it was it's a great expectation, and I think this year it's so different because for the first time in our program's history, and maybe, you look at the dynamic in the state of Florida, we have a Doak Walker Award candidate and a Kedrick Rhodes, and we have a Lombardi candidate and a Winston Frazier, an Outland candidate in Kalen Hopman, a Groza candidate in Jack Griffin, and I'm sure I'm missing one. Well, Jonathan Cyprian, of course, the Thorpe Award candidate. And all that means is that, player development, recruiting, raising our own bar in terms of performance is all starting to take place. And I want to be able to come up here and talk about that every year. I want to talk about our next Doak Walker candidate next year and our next Thorpe Award guy, hopefully a Heisman Trophy guy. Certainly the departure of T.Y. Hilton, obviously it's a loss that's felt, but at the same time it certainly creates opportunities for other guys to step up and make plays. And to me, the best way to manage what now comes with this, because it is a new dynamic for our program now. For us it's always been kind of below, under the radar. The no-star recruit that just outworks everybody and whatnot. I think it all comes right back down to what we do in the off season. You know, you have 12 games in a bowl game, but what do you do in the other 352 days? And that's when I think that everybody's really grounded into what we are, who we really are, and what we do. And that certainly, I think, keeps us focused and going in the right direction. Yeah, you know, it's a good question. I think it's going to be important every single year. I think when you have the ability to coach, like you said, it's in essence 25 scholarship seniors, 5 guys that have walked on, and I got to be honest, we only recruit walk-ons if we feel they can earn scholarships. So they're good football players. When you have that many, and I'm a big believer ever since I was in high school as a player, it was always driven into our heads, your team will be as good as your seniors will take you. And these guys are willing to go the distance in everything they do. I mean, they've taken it upon themselves to coach and mentor and teach these young guys and demand even more themselves. I think it says a lot when a Winston Frazier and a Torek Williams will get after each other if they feel they're not performing to the maximum, you know, of their abilities. And that right there speaks volume, that it's not a, hey, we're seniors, we're entitled to being this or having that. On the opposite end of the spectrum, their expectations and their accountability and responsibility levels are that much higher. So I think it goes hand in hand, you know, what we expect, what we want to do, and the drive that's behind it, the drive and the hunger that's behind it. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think the neat thing is you kind of gain yourself an extra 9 or 10 assistant coaches is what you do. These guys are now, you know, obviously I can't be up and call them state employees. That would be illegal. But all of a sudden, these are guys that, you know, I mean, they're running the drills like you want them run. As you're paying attention to your left tackle on the punt team, well, all of a sudden you have a Jordan Hunt, a Winston Frazier, a Torek Williams all over, you know, the opposite side guard, or the scout team defender that's giving us a look, making sure that guy does give a good look as well. So they've heard it so many times, and I got to be honest with you, I hope by the time they're a sophomore, junior, they can literally regurgitate every word verbatim. They can just blurt out the next word that's going to come out of my mouth, because it means our message is consistent and that it's sinking in. And the one thing we are, and from the get-go, it's always been the same, we're very real. You know, we don't kind of sugarcoat anything at all, and I think it's always been the best approach. We've been a blue-collar program that has found a way to recruit some really high-profile athletes as of late, and that's a positive thing. It's a positive thing because these seniors, you know, we do have that nice weight room now and the nice facility, but they were 500 yards across away where you have to march a little bit through the swamp, and you had your personal locker was a nice little nail on the wall with a name tag on the top, and hopefully it was spelled correctly, you know, and it was quite a march and quite a trek, and I would love to show you the video of game day where we actually had to dress in the baseball locker room and take the trolley buses back and forth to the stadium, you know, pregame warm-up, start of the game, halftime. Those guys went through that. So that certainly, you know, it does create a greater sense of appreciation. And I think that's what it's all about, you know, and I think it's important for them to be those hammers now because, you know, even when we started camp, there was a moment in time where we pulled the seniors away and let those juniors and sophomores and freshmen take a look at each other, fully knowing, hey, you know, in 5 months, these guys aren't here anymore. This is what it looks like. So as much as attention that we have been putting on the seniors, and as much the onus of the responsibility and accountability has been placed on these seniors, we certainly don't ignore the fact that, you know, this is a never-ending process. It's a relentless process, and the grooming of the younger guys is part of that, a major part of it.